Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, well, we're going to tackle something pretty common. Trying to make a $3,000 monthly income, work.
Right.
We've got this breakdown, how to budget on a $3,000 a month income. And our mission basically is to pull out the key strategies, make it clear, actionable.
Yeah,
If you've ever felt like money just vanishes, well, this deep dive should help.
absolutely. And think of it less like strict rules, more like a flexible guide for your decisions. What's interesting is how it uses percentages.
Oh.
So even if the exact dollars don't fit your life, the proportions, they can
Yeah.
be really insightful.
Right, okay. Let's jump in. Housing. The plan puts this around $900 a month, which is like 30% of the income.
Yeah, about 30%.
And the source has some practical thoughts,
Yeah.
like sharing a place, maybe a studio apartment, or looking a bit further out from the city center.
Makes sense.
Oh, and a good tip. If utilities aren't included, try keeping them under, say, $150. That can make a real difference, can't it?
It really can. And it shows you got to look at the whole housing cost, not just rent. That 30% is a common guideline, sure, but yeah, those extras add up. Being creative about where you live, how you live, it frees up cash.
Okay, next up, groceries. The budget here is $300 to $350. This feels like an area where lots of people could maybe find some savings.
Definitely. I think so.
The source really pushes meal planning, sticking to a list each week, familiar advice, right?
Very familiar, but effective.
And, choosing store brands instead of the big names. It adds up over time. Plus, it mentions cooking at home is usually better, budget-wise and health-wise, compared to takeout all the time.
Yeah, that planning piece is surprisingly powerful. Have a plan, less impulse buying, less grabbing expensive convenience food.
Right.
And those apps it mentions like Flip or Ibotta, good tools for finding deals, maybe getting cash back. Every little bit helps.
Okay, moving to transportation. Budgeted at $200 here. Now, this one can vary a lot, right? Depending on if you need gas money, use public transit, maybe grab rideshare sometimes.
Totally depends on the person.
The source points out, if it works for you, walking or biking is obviously a huge saver. And if you drive, aiming for a fuel-efficient, reliable car just makes sense long-term.
And what's interesting is how these categories affect each other. Like, maybe cheaper rent further out means higher transport costs.
Ah, good point.
It's all about finding your balance, making those trade-offs consciously.
Okay, let's hit a big one. Debt payments, budgeted at $300. The source is clear. Minimum payments on credit cards, student loans, whatever, that's a must. Non-negotiable.
Absolutely essential.
But then, the smart strategy. If you can, put extra money towards the debts with the highest interest rates first. That can save you a lot in interest down the road.
Exactly. You have to know your interest rates. Ignoring debt just makes it worse, and that interest piling up really limits you. That $300 is a start, but ideally you want to grow that payment and get debt-free.
Yeah, free up that cash. Okay, now for something vital, even on a tight budget, savings. The plan suggests $450, which is about 15% of the income.
A good chunk.
And the source says saving isn't a luxury, it's fundamental. For security, it lays out priorities. First, build that emergency fund, for surprises.
Crucial cushion.
Then look into retirement accounts, maybe a Roth IRA. And a great tip, automate your savings. Set up those transfers. Builds your future without thinking about it each month.
Automating is so powerful, it takes willpower out of the equation.
Right.
Saving just becomes part of your routine, like paying bills.
Yeah.
Focusing on both emergencies and retirement. That's key for long-term well-being.
And finally, proof that a budget isn't all restriction. The fun and personal category at $300. This is for like eating out, subscriptions, gifts, personal care.
Yeah. The enjoyable stuff.
The main takeaway here, the source says, is just to track these. So enjoyment doesn't accidentally become overspending.
Precisely. A budget needs room for happiness to be sustainable. Tracking makes you aware, helps you spend consciously on what you value, not about feeling totally restricted.
So the real message isn't about cutting back on everything, is it? It's more about empowerment through having a plan.
Exactly.
This budget is a tool, really, to guide your money decisions, make it work for you.
Right. It shifts you from reacting to your finances to being proactive. When you have a framework, you make choices that support your goals instead of always feeling behind.
So this deep dive gave us a potential roadmap for managing $3,000 a month, balancing needs, savings, and, some fun through intentional budgeting.
A solid framework.
Now, here's something to chew on. How might these percentages need to change for you? Based on your specific situation, your priorities, what tweaks could you make to this plan to better match your financial goals and your lifestyle? That's your homework, maybe, as you think about your own financial deep dive.